Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Wil. You know, there's been a documentary about the poop cruise. There's been events lately involving cruise ships, and our very own Nick Menard and associates with Dream Vacations is going to share his perspective on some of these events that have been flaring up about cruising. So stay tuned. We're about to get in deep and get some perspective to these situations. But before we do, please be sure to follow, share, and subscribe to For the Win. We're on all the platforms. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies. Doesn't matter. Just tell somebody, have them join us, and we'd love to add more winners to our audience. And also, again, thanks to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode. Happy Wanderlust Wednesday, Nick.
Happy Wednesday, Wil. Hello, winners.
There we go. So, you know, I guess it was a couple months ago, the poop cruise came out, and like you said,
That's
it was
not the most important.
10 years ago. What a title, though. I gotta say, when I scrolled and saw that on Netflix, I watched it, and yeah, it was a poopy situation. But I mean, we have that. But more recently, a little bit more serious stuff had come out where on, I believe it was the Royal ship, right, where they had a malfunction with the water slide and stuff. And obviously, you're talking to clients and prospects every day. You're really good about having a practical perspective on things. So probably a great time to chat about these current events and get your take.
Absolutely. No, I'm happy to do so because I didn't really hear. I mean, I heard about all those things from some client, but you know, it it's hard for me because it depends on the category of clients.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there is no bad clients, but there is like in like every business, you have clients who have a higher scale and clients who don't have the same kind of budget, which is all good. And usually the people with the lower budget are the people who look at those things.
Mm-hmm.
People with a higher budget, I don't hear them saying a peep about all of that because we all know things happen. It's just the fact. And it happens very, very, very rarely, less than 0.001% of the time. But of course, since that poop cruise and then that situation with the cruise, the lady who disappeared, then of course now with Icon of the Sea, with the slides who broke down, which can happen, and you know, someone who mental illness and jump out of the balcony in the water. I saw that 2 days ago. Of course, when you hear about all of those things, like people see all of them in a row, and it feels like, oh my god, it's nonstop. And I can, you know, sometimes, you know, when I'm in the bathroom and I scroll down on Facebook, that's usually where, you know,
Has nothing to do with that cruise documentary.
No. When I just scroll down, I just laugh because I read comments, and then I would never go on a ship because that's what happened. No, it doesn't happen. It never happened. It happens like every industry. You have like a thing happen every blue moon. Don't forget there are hundreds of ships in the sea every day. And we have like 4 or 5 instances in the last 10 years. So it's extremely rare. It's like a flight crashing. It never happened, but when it happens, it makes news. And it's the same thing with this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So I wanted to touch base on this and explain a little bit the reality and put people at ease if you are stressing out that you have more chance to have an issue when you go inland, even though it's very low, than on a boat. The same thing, you have a lot more chance to get a car accident than an airplane accident, and it's exactly the same thing. So that's what we can talk about, things to do on that level.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. I was thinking about it because, yeah, when you think about car accidents, how many of those happen a day? And you mentioned plane crashes. That rarely happens. The stuff with the cruises, when you look at the volume of cruises and the volume of passengers, it's a very, very, very small percentage. I think I'd be curious on your take on this. I think the reason why people get more hung up about things like the cruise and the flight versus having the same type of fear every time they get behind the wheel to drive a car is people have control. When you have the car, you have the steering
True.
wheel and stuff, and so they're more in control. On an airplane, you have zero control,
Mhm.
right? Because there's a pilot. On a ship, you have zero control because there's somebody else doing it. So I think it comes down to control and that feeling of helplessness. And then they you know, it kind of manifests even larger than what it needs to be when they hear these rare occurrences on these other forms of travel. Whereas if you're going truly on probability, and we like playing poker, and poker is all about
Mhm.
probability, right? But if you go truly on probability, every time you drive a car, you're at a far higher risk than every time you take a flight or a ship that something significantly bad could happen. But that's just my take. I think
No,
it's a control thing.
I agree. And people usually have the opposite effect of what the reality should be.
Mhm.
Like, what you hear now, like it or not, the self-drive cars,
Mm.
people are freaking out about that. Well, the chance to get an accident with a self-drive car is minimal compared to this chance to have an accident when you actually have control on the car.
Mm.
So that's why, I mean, the day that every car are self-driven, you will have like a thousands of the accident that we have now, just
Mhm.
because that's just the technology is the way it is, and the problem is usually human.
Mhm.
That's a human mistake. But thank God there's no human flying. I mean, there's not any human flying those flights, those plane, and any human just being captain. You need to have like hours and hours and hours and hours of training and stuff like that to start. So yeah, the human aspect is huge. People think I have control, so I have less risk, but it's all the opposite.
Mhm.
Because don't forget, even if you do the right thing, the person on the other car may do something wrong. So the human aspect is usually a lot bigger than the mechanical aspect.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you just think about people who are texting and driving, drinking and driving. I mean, I said this with my older son about 2 years ago, and he was, being a typical teenager, and he's like, "Well, I drive great. I drive great." I'm like, "Yeah, you may drive great, but you're not in control of what somebody else is doing. So if you're driving late at night, the the risk probability is so much higher because bars are closing, people leaving the bar, they're drinking and stuff like that." And I said, so you got to have a head on your swivel, and it's not just about the quality of your driving skills.
Hmm.
It's other things out there. You just think about motorcyclists, right? Like how many times have we heard stories motorcyclists are doing everything they are supposed to be doing, but somebody didn't see them, swiped them, and that sort of stuff happens. So, and it's not like we're trying to um make what happened with those folks on the ship, like no big deal. Of course, it's sad and stuff happens, but it's just about adding perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And not only everything we just discussed, but we see more and more on Facebook now, on social media, the issues with fights on ships and stuff like that. Yes, it happens. Like you have fights when you go in bars,
Stadiums.
stadiums, anywhere. But I never experienced it, and I go on on cruise nonstop. I never experienced a fight. It's just it happens. And again, make it make sense. But you are straight under the sun in your swim short or your bikini, drinking all day in the pool with music under the sun. Of course, you will have people who will get drunk. And then we know when people get drunk, their chance that people get irritated is higher. But again, know when and where it happens. Again, if you choose like a lower level of cruise line or very cheap 3 day cruise, of course you will have a lot more chance to have issue like that. If you take like a certain class of ship and longer sailing, like over 5 days, you will probably have that divide by hundreds the chance that something like that happen. So when people, again, scrolling, on Facebook, reading the comments, when you see like those things, it depends, like what you do. And usually people who comment negatively are people who don't go on cruises. And they just comment, "Oh, I would never do those things. It's ridiculous. People are fighting all the time." No, it never happens. Like it happens less than in stadium, like you said, or bars or something, or a nightclub. So you really be aware of the difference between ships and not put everything and everybody in the same bucket, because that's you don't you don't you don't make yourself a favor by doing so.
Yeah, yeah. I am curious though with this. those events that have happened recently, I mean, are people making comments to you about it at all, or is it just stuff you're hearing on social media, and so you wanted to kind of give your take on it?
No, like I said, usually people who are looking for the cheapest possible cruise, short 3-4 nights maximum, are the one who are commenting about this.
Okay.
And again, that's the category where you have more chance to have those things happening. The thing that I hear from clients are usually more about the probability to fall out of a balcony.
Oh,
So that comes more often the last couple of months, and I'm pretty sure it's related to what people read and see on TV and things like that. They ask me, something I never heard before. A few clients ask, "Oh, high is the balcony?" Like my children or myself. I want to make sure that if the boat, someone asked me if the ship is turning or there is like some heavy,
wave.
waves and things like that, do I have a chance if I'm in balcony to just no, that's not gonna happen. Again, if it's that bad outside, you're probably not on the balcony anyway. But I experienced that one time. I was on the 10th floor on a Virgin cruise, and literally I had like water coming in front of my balcony and on
Oh,
the
really?
10th floor.
Okay.
So the wave were literally crushing up to the 8th or 9th floor probably. So I had a bunch of water coming my way as well. Well, you don't go on the balcony,
Right.
because it's
Unless you want to get a bar of soap and you do the little nature bath, right?
yeah,
You do
well,
that.
maybe, but I mean by that, no, yeah, you need to be willing to you don't fall like, oh, I didn't think about it. Same on the top deck, like people ask me, like, is there dangerous to go on a top deck? No, you really need to climb to really want to jump. It's not like your children or yourself will just walk around and boom, you just fly above. No, it's fly on top. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about things like that. If it was something that was a real issue, we would hear that every week, and it's literally not the case. So be be cool about this. It's not going to be a problem. When people ask is about, we live in Florida, so they ask about the hurricane season. Oh, I don't want to book a cruise during hurricane season. Well, hurricane season is 5 months a year.
Mm-hmm.
The last 10 years in Florida, only 2 days, a total of 42 hours. The last time I checked, 42 hours that ships didn't leave the port. So usually what happens is that they change the itinerary based on, because hurricane, we see clearly where they are. They may, they take another destination, so they will not be in problem. Again, something happened recently in the Bermudas where a ship decided to go while there was some risk, and then they got caught into it. Nobody died, but some people got injured, and they had a very bad experience with the ship. Like, I think it was also Royal.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's the first time I heard something like this. I'm pretty sure they're not going to do it anymore when is there any kind of little risk. But yes, I don't think you need. I mean, I know you don't need to worry about that. A ship will not go purposefully into a hurricane just to see how it works.
Right.
So you do not worry. They're gonna deviate, or they're gonna leave a day late or something like that. But you don't have to worry about it. And if the cruise is canceled, well, you get a credit for another one, or you get your money back. But they will figure it out a way to be doing the right thing for the customers. So you don't have to worry about looking at the season. Right, I have 3 cruises back to back now. Well, it's in the middle of the hurricane season, and people are stressing out about the one I just did. So yeah, the first 2 I did. No, I have my next one this week, this weekend. But I just literally, there was a hurricane, starting, and then they just curved to the north, and people were stressing out. I'm like, there's no stress to have. If it comes there, we got a notification when the ship will be able to leave, and then we're just gonna deviate to another itinerary unless there is no way. Then they will tell you. But I was not stressing 1 second about this, because I know that they will do the right thing, and that's about it. So I think that we need to be a lot less stressful and enjoy what vacation should be all about, which is stressless.
Yeah, right.
So don't stress yourself about things that you don't have control in, and just enjoy the time and enjoy your vacation. And 99.9999% of the time, you will have a great time, and you will look back and said, why did I worry so much?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's a couple of things with that. One, I always go back to Seneca's letter 13. Seneca was a Stoic philosopher on groundless fears. And it's like
Mhm.
we often worry far more in our minds about things that never come to pass. And so your point about that is spot on. The one time I had a situation where I was on a cruise and there was a weather threat. What they basically did is we skipped the last port.
Mhm.
They just skipped the last port, and stayed at sea and headed back to the home port, so to speak. And that was it. And again, no big deal. You
Yeah,
just got in there.
and something to think about: a port are never guaranteed. Every
Mhm.
time you book a cruise, I know some people are very high on knowing where they're going because they wanna go to port of call they've never been before, which
Mhm.
makes sense. But it's never a guarantee that they're gonna stop there. Labidi, for example, Haiti, we know that it's a port who has a certain level of risk right now, so they usually cancel that port and go somewhere else. So if you never did Labidi, and maybe now it's not the right time, even though you see it on your itinerary, the
Mhm.
chance is high that they're gonna skip it. So it's just the way it is. Also, if there is something that happened like last minute, of course they know about it. They're gonna skip that port and go to another one, or they will do another day at sea. But usually they are very good to make sure to add some entertainment activities on the ship. I had that happen last year. I don't know if I was with you or not. It was um, I think it was Celebrity, and then the captain made the announcement saying like, unfortunately, due to some I think it was political stuff, it's better to avoid the port of call. So we're gonna spend an extra day on the sea. Um, Expect the next 3 hours to look into your application and see the new activity that's been added. And they did a phenomenal job to add some comedy show during the day, to add some like try different drink on top floor for people who want to do that. So they had a lot of sports and things like that. So they had bunch of things scheduled, and actually I had a lot more fun than I would have by going to that place. So it's not a guarantee when it's something is not in your control.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be realistic about that. And people who complain after that, well, would you rather take a risk? People usually who complain about that are the first people who would sue the company if something happened when they are on the ports that they should not have been on. So
Mhm.
I'm like, enjoy the time you're on vacation. Don't think about the what if, just enjoy and move on.
Yeah. And I know you know this way better than I do, but it's probably if somebody were to have kind of concerns about that, if they have travel insurance, they can use that, right? To rebook, or there's restrictions on what qualifies to be able to use it, like they have to be sick or something,
Yeah,
right?
so it
Yeah.
depends the travel protection. So
Okay.
you have different level of travel insurance.
Mhm.
You have majority of people take the classic in every kind of travel protection you have. They all cruise line, all vendor for land. They all have their own travel protection. I
Mhm.
like to use the one from Dream Vacations, which is a partnership with Ion, which is one of the best one on the market. And they have two different ones. So they have the classic one. The classic one is only medical reasons, or God forbid someone in your family passed away within, I think, two level of like parents, grandparents, and son, grandson. Then you can cancel and get a refund. Some you can cancel and get a cruise credit back.
Mm.
But if you do the premium one, you have some premium is like for cancel for any reason,
Okay.
and then you get the money back or cruise credit back. I mean, it all depends about the writing of the cruise protection and the travel protection you have.
Mhm.
So make sure to always ask your travel agent, okay, what are the protection and what am I covered for? And in my case, I always send the policy so people can read about what is it cover. But 99.9% of people do the classic one, which is in case of emergency, medical reason, things like that. Also, if something happened on the ship, which unfortunately it happened a few times, that someone had a heart attack or someone fell and broke something. Well, usually like they have an helicopter coming in, and then they transport the person to the closest island, and then from there depending of what's possible to do on the island or not, they just bring them back to the United States. If it's something, of course, in the Caribbean, Bahamas area, I hope that person had a travel protection, because travel protection also includes things that may happen on the ship most of the time for cruises. So it's usually up to $50,000, which is probably going to be reached when you have an helicopter who take you, and then anything happen on the island and bring back, you're going to get there. So it's good to have those kind of protections, unless you are a big traveler, and then I advise, because even if I don't make any money for that, if I have clients who travel all the time, I have clients who travel 4 or 5 times a year, people who are retired and just enjoy life, I said, contact Allianz Insurance and look for an annual travel protection. It's gonna be worth it. And now if you travel, a couple of times a year, that's not worth it. But if you travel more, the annual travel protection is covering you for all year for any travel you take. So
there's a good tip. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. No, very cool. Very cool. So what other thoughts do you have about these current events and trying to put it in perspective for our listeners?
All right. You want to talk about the situation with the lady who disappeared or not disappeared 25, 30 years ago? I do believe that she's been kidnapped, but that's another subject for another day.
We're turning into a true crime podcast.
I know. Let's do that.
Yeah, we can get Rob Riggs back on.
I know. No, I love that. No, my advice, take everything with a grain of salt, and please look at when those events happened. Like, again, I saw literally on Instagram a couple of days ago, I scrolled down, and on Instagram, it was a story about, I forgot which ship it was, but it was in the fjords, so in northern Europe. And yeah, a ship who just went into another ship and just broke all the front of it, and then people and I'm like, oh my God, again something about cruise. And then I look, it was 2016 or 2015, but it comes back now. So it's because everybody talk about cruise issue.
Yeah, they're trying to get cheap clicks,
and it's exactly the same when you had those events with those plane crashing at beginning of the year. And then you start seeing all those plane crash that happened, but not now. It's all the one who happened the last 10 years, which is not much. But of course, if you are one of those. So again, pay attention to look at this. Now, today I saw like a bunch of fight and a drone taking a video of it was Carnival, to not name them. And then it was like dark people, not dark people, but full of people that look like all dark, because it's like full on the top deck.
Oh, I see.
Like what I'm saying. Yeah. And it was black and white, so I'm not saying anything. But it's like the ship is overwhelmed with people on the top floor, and music full, and people dancing in the pool outside, and you could not even see the pool. It was so packed. And so people commenting, I would never pay to go on something like that. It's hell, blah, blah, blah. And again, it's a 3 nights Carnival cruise. So it's literally people who want to go, not sleep for 3 nights, partying all the time, figure it out, find significant other for a couple of days, and then move on, But it's, again, if you have a desire to have a great experience, I would not suggest you this. Now, if you are 20 years old and you want to have fun and have a little budget, that's great. Do that and you have a blast, Do some injection for viruses maybe, and do the tetanus and all, and all of that. But yeah, again, it's just look at that instead of looking in general. Oh, that's a cruise. That's what a cruise is. No, it's not.
Got it. No. Well, there you have it, winners. So some straight talk from Nick Menard and keeping things in perspective, which it is important. We do live in a time where things can get to sensationalism pretty quickly, and so I think it's important that people stay grounded. Like you said, be careful when you're seeing some of these things on the dates. It could be just regurgitating stuff in the past because they're trying to build on that sensationalism and get some cheap clicks and views and stuff, so that they can earn an extra quarter from social media on stuff like that. But
that's a quarter on social media. I wonder this recorder, what needs to be done?
Get a gumball machine. I'll give you a quarter. Good. Any last thoughts before we wrap up?
No, contact Neil Mornard and Associates with Dream Vacations, and we can advise you the best possible fit for your preferred vacation.
There you go. Sounds good. So you heard it here first, winners. Thank you again for tuning in for this Wanderlust Wednesday. Please be sure to share, subscribe, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform. And we will see you next week where we talk about something other than the poop cruise. You guys take care. Be well.
Bye, winners.